and welcome. I'm your host Gadd, and my co-hosts for today's video are the twins, Mary, Kate, and Ashley. For the new battleground, I wanted to try a previous build I shared in the past, and for the past few weeks this build has been amazing, with great CC immunity to most all crowd control, great tank DPS, and added backline pressure to players to their doom. I will go over the skills and legendaries, skill rotation, Paragon, green set, Reforge, and legendary gems. Timestamps will be listed in the description below. Skills and legendaries. Fallen Sword. On the main hand 1, Luminous Rain to activate Divinity Rod. A Fallen Sword now follows you, damaging all nearby enemies and reducing their movement speed in a larger area. And on the shoulders, Bell Protector. Fallen Sword grants you a shield and provide immunity to loss control and knockback. With the Eternal Gear equipped, conjures swords dealing damage every 3 seconds. Consecration. On the helm, Anointed Brimstone to activate Sacrificial Flame. Consecration engulfs you in holy flames, dealing damage to yourself and nearby enemies, during which you are immune to chill and freeze effects. On the chest, Daybreaker. Consecration now protects you and nearby party members, decreasing damage taken by 15%. And on the offhand, Galler's Grin. Enemies affected by Consecration take increased damage, with the added benefit of the Eternal Gear, reducing all damage enemies deal. This is a powerhouse for the build, making Ice Mages useless in battlegrounds. Drawn Quarter. On the pants, Light Striders to activate the twins, summoning 2 horses of light that charge at enemies, damaging them and causing knockback. These ladies deal 100% of your total damage. One likes to do its own thing, it seems, while the other follows your targets at all times. Conjuration of Light for damage immunity for you and all nearby party members. Punish. On the main hand 2, the Observer. Enemies hit by Punish take increased damage that stacks up to a max. And on the offhand 2, Grimcrack Buckler. While Punish has granted you hardened senses, blocks will trigger an explosion, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. This combo adds tons of AoE pressure and sustainability in team fights. I also recommend Wretch Splitter, applying a wanted mark on a target, increasing the movement speed of you and your allies while moving towards an enemy they wanted mark. Skill rotation. For the skill rotation, when engaging, start with Fallen Sword, followed by Consecration for CC immunity. Once positioned at the target, use Drawn Quarters, followed by Punish. Conjuration of Light you and nearby teammates to negate burst damage from enemies or disengage from a fight. Maintain Consecration when off cooldown for reduced damage reduction. You can play passive or aggressive depending on the enemy's team comp. Paragon. Working with the Gladiator Paragon, equipping Cheat Death for a second life at 60% HP every 210 seconds. Hold Formation, reducing damage taken by 2.5% for each nearby party member in 15 yards. Grizzled Veteran, dealing 4% more damage and taking 4% less damage from players. First Aid, when health is below 15% life while nearby a party member within 5 yards, recovering 15% of max life per second for 3 seconds. And Quick Witted, while reducing the duration of loss control effects by 10%. And for the legendary Paragon skill, Benefactor, for the party-wide shield equal to 15% of your max life for 6 seconds every 30 seconds. Green set. For the green set bonus, as a free-to-play player, I recommend a 4-piece untouchable mount banks. Taking damage, you have a 20% chance to gain a shield that's equal to 33% of your max life, and you move unhindered through enemies while active. This is a top-tier PvP gear set with a low cooldown rating. Next, 4-piece Vitu's Urge for the increase for all beneficial effects and attack speed by 30% to you and all party members. I recommend this set bonus because it works well with all other builds. Another recommendation for more DPS is a 2-piece Banquet of Eyes for the 15% increased damage to enemies suffering from damage over time effect, 4-piece Mount Banks, and a 2-piece Vitus. Reforge set. So after some extensive testing, the PvP meta Reforge set is Gadd recommended. Starting off with the Jolt set. Damage taken from players reduced, damage taken while suffering, loss of control decreased, and beneficial effects increased. Next, from the Vengeance set, attack speed increase, damage to player increase, or a choice of damage to enemies suffering loss of control increase. Now these are really good for all PvP builds and classes, but since I play more of a support role, I did add from the Trimmer set the continuous damage taken reduced on all gear slots for more tankiness. Legendary gems. I will go over the core and my recommendation for legendary gems, which are just the core gem setup at the time of this video. The rest are up to you and your luck in the rift. Starting with the 5-star gems, Blood-Soaked Jade, increasing all damage while at full life, increasing movement speed, and taking decreased damage while below 50% life. Rolling Consequence, dealing damage, buffs you, increasing the crit hit chance, and crits cause fiery explosions that burns nearby enemies over time every 20 seconds. Critical hit chance against burning enemies is increased. And the new 5-star gem, Colossal Engine, granting yourself a buff also grants you Colossal Strength. increasing skill damage and increasing your size and skill range. Colossal Strength also grants immunity to knockback effects every 20 seconds. I have this oxed in for my Blessing in the Worthy at the time of this video, so at rank 1, the bonus effect for the knockback immunity does not apply. Bonus tip: when the numbers are in green, this means they can be modified by your other stats or added to your bonus stats. For example, when a cooldown number 20 seconds is in green, this means it's affected by your cooldown reduction stat. When the damage over time effect, for example 3 seconds, the duration may be increased by potency and other effects, but also by resistance. When gaining a gem buff, for example 6 seconds, can increase the duration with beneficial effects. When it is not in a green text, it is a fixed stat, meaning it cannot be affected by any other bonuses. Next, the 2-star gems. Pain class, increasing damage dealt by 24% to enemies suffering from damage over time effects. When an enemy suffering from damage over time is within 10 yards, movement speed is increased. The new 2-star legendary gem, the Crimson Ballad, the limited event S tier gem from May 1st to the 31st. While above 50% health, dealing damage grants you increased damage for 6 seconds. When taking damage below 50%, you gain a damage reduction buff for 6 seconds. When Ballad power triggers, it fears the enemy's location and fearing all nearby enemies for 1.6 seconds. Ballad's power has its own separate cooldown. Wrath buff has a 20-second cooldown and Mercy has a 60-second cooldown. 1-star gem recommendations. Everlasting Torment. Critical hits inflict agony, dealing a % damage plus additional damage every 6 seconds. Each nearby enemy affected with agony increases your attack speed by 6% once every 20 seconds. Damage reduction, damage increase, and skill cooldown reduction I highly recommend for this build, so best of luck in the rifts. I recommend checking out my legendary gem guide for more details. Alright, overall this build counters freeze mage meta. For the new battleground, defending idols and stopping your opponent's idols, this build is top tier. With the CC immunity from Fallen Sword and the damage reduction from Consecration, it makes going in and out of team fights smooth and fun. Only hard crowd control like Fear and Blind being the main issue. But thanks to the quick witted from the Paragon, helps reduce and hold formation, reducing damage taken near a party member, helps reposition you to a counterattack. I recommend the Eternal Gear for Consecration, reducing damage done to players affected by Consecration, while also running the Endure magic affixes that increase evasion rating for every nearby enemy, with the other added Endure affix which grants you a shield equal to 5% of your max life. This makes you really tanky and creates more opportunities to Conjuration Light your teammates and survive team fights longer. The twins being an untargetable summon and creating constant pressure versus your opponents. Also, this build can be played passive, creating a distance, Fallen Sword, and drawing quarters, all while buffing and supporting your teammates in the backline. This has created opportunity to Conjuration Light and turn the tides in your team's favor. The Yawning Rose Judgment being changed, it makes it simple to kite around and avoid tons of damage. Watching your cooldowns and knowing your buff is key. Alright, that is it for the updated DPS support Crusader PvP build, the Twins Crusader build.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
The name needs more work maybe. Well, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the build, don't forget to save it into your armory. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, message me in game or on Discord. Information will be listed down below. Best of luck and have fun. See you next time. Take care.